Hey, Bestie.
Hey guys, we got two bestie homeschooling mamas coming at you. I am Gail.
And I'm Christina.
And we have a really awesome series coming up for you this month, you guys. It is the first week of June. And I know in the world, this is an entirely different month for people who see the world through a worldview. For those of us that have a biblical worldview, this is going to be Marriage Month.
Yay!
God's design for marriage. Today's episode is jumping into Marriage Month with God's design for marriage and what it is that He has planned for us and what He expects it to look like. So we're going to delve into that topic that's deeply rooted into the fabric of human society as marriage, but not the way the world sees it. So not just any marriage, we're discussing marriage from that biblical worldview in a world where the institution of marriage is constantly evolving. And it really shouldn't be. It's essential to revisit its origins and the purpose as outlined in the Bible. So let's jump in.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Marriage, as depicted in the Bible, isn't merely a social contract between two individuals. And that's what the world says it is now. So many, right? It's a contract. But in the Bible, it is a sacred covenant established by God Himself. From Genesis to Revelations, the Bible consistently portrays marriage as a covenantal relationship, a bond sealed not only between a husband and a wife, but also with God as the witness.
Which is why I think essentially most covenantal marriages are done in a church. It's in His house, which, it doesn't have to be in a church for it to be God-centered in any way, shape, or form, but I think that's kind of where that construction started.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. The covenantal aspect emphasizes the divine intentionality behind marriage. It's not just about companionship or legal union. It's a reflection of God's own relationship with His people, a union of love, fidelity, and mutual commitment.
Yeah, it's talked about often in the Bible how the church is the bride and Jesus is the groom, the bridegroom. That's the construction of marriage. Yeah. That covenant between God and us.
Yes. I like to think of that verse in the Bible about three strands woven together.
It's on my wall.
It is on your wall. I forgot it was on your wall.
It is. Oh, yes. 3 strands woven together is not easily broken. And it's Ecclesiastes.
It is. Yeah. Yes. I love that one because it reminds me that it's not just me. It's not just David. It's not just God. It's all three of us together. And if we lean on each other, then we can't be broken.
Yeah. So the sign that I have on my wall that has it on it, my brother made for us. And it's made with really thick nails. Ones that would have likely been a construction use for the cross that Jesus was put on. And then it has 3 strands of very heavy rope coming from each of the top 3 nails. And then it's braided all together down the bottom of the cross into the 4th nail. And I just think that is like the most beautiful picture of a marriage that you could ever have.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. Love it. Understanding transforms how we approach marriage. Instead of viewing it through a purely secular lens, we recognize it as a spiritual journey, a partnership ordained by God for His glory and our mutual flourishing. Moving on to our second point, let's explore the roles and the responsibilities within marriage as prescribed by the Bible.
All right. So
take it away.
What does the Bible say about our roles and responsibilities as a husband and a wife, right? So in Ephesians 5:22-23, wives, submit yourselves to your own husbands as you do to the Lord. For the husband is the head of the wife, as Christ is the head of the church, His body, of which He is the Savior. So the Apostle Paul provides this framework for marital roles, highlighting the husband's role as the loving leader and the wife's role as the supportive helper. Now, hear me. This is not roles that are superiority or inferiority. It's rather they reflect the beautiful independence and a dance of mutual respect, of submission, and things that are grounded in Christ-like love.
I love that word picture, a dance of mutual respect and submission grounded in Christ-like love.
Right.
That is 100% what it should be.
Right.
Like,
because men need respect to feel loved, and
absolutely.
women need love, like sincere love to feel loved.
Yeah.
And so that's exactly what it is.
Yeah. It's not all about one or the other. It's about working together.
Yeah. I had heard this marriage counselor or something once upon a time say marriage is not about 50-50.
Mm-hmm.
It is about 100% of you all the time. And when you can't give 100%, then your spouse takes on 120 if you're only able to give 80, and gives that grace and that mercy, because we are showing mutual respect and submission to each other.
Yeah.
Now, the roles are very clear that the husband is the spiritual leader of the household. Mm-hmm. There is no way around that. And do I know that all too well, that if it's not that way, then your marriage is going to struggle? Yes, I do. Mm-hmm. Because I was one stubborn son of a gun as a woman for a long, long time. I wouldn't let him lead because I was right all the time and he was always wrong. But that's not really how it was. I was just stubborn in my brain, right? So once we were able to figure out and learn how to do this dance, the marriage became so much more intimate. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a big difference too. When you aren't intimate physically too, then the marriage struggles. So, it's that discussion of, or that part of the Bible where it says come together often, and it'll keep the devil away. It'll keep Satan away. And I'm like, it's true. I mean, we have had points in our marriage where we have not been as close as we would like for periods of time, and it definitely causes more strife.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Not on purpose, it just is because the devil's getting in there. It's important to note that these roles aren't rigid stereotypes, but rather the principles that guide our interactions within our marriage. Husbands are called to sacrificially love their wives, just as Christ loved the church, while wives are called to respect and honor their husbands, kind of what we talked about before. If you haven't read it, there's a book called Love and Respect.
Such a good book thing to read.
Yeah. We did a Love and Respect conference at church a while back, 10, 12 years ago. But it's crazy how they show that vicious cycle when you're not doing love and respect, and then you're just in this terrible cycle.
It's hard to get out of that.
It is really hard to get out of that.
Because you just, I don't know, once you
it's a
a
chaos circle, basically.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So this mutual submission and respect foster harmony and unity within your marriage, allowing both spouses to flourish in their God-given roles and giftings. Mm-hmm. For our final point, Miss Christina and I are going to talk about the sanctity of marriage and its enduring significance in a culture that often devalues commitment.
Yeah. It makes me sad. Mm-hmm. In a world where divorce rates are skyrocketing and the concept of lifelong commitment is increasingly rare, a sanctity of marriage stands as a beacon of hope and stability. Mm-hmm. Marriage is designed by God is intended to be a lifelong covenant, a sacred bond that withstands the trials and tribulations of life.
Yeah, it does.
And can you imagine doing some of the things we've gone through with alone?
No, and watching our parents having to do it was terrible.
Girl. Yeah.
It was terrible. And then, figuring out as you get older what they actually went through, in life in general, becoming a grown up. And then you knowing that you haven't had to do that by yourself. Because you and I got married decently young. Mm-hmm. It just is kind of crazy. I mean, I tell Landon that all the time. I'm like, I can't imagine doing this life without you. I just can't.
Nope.
Imagine processing through the things we've gone through alone.
Mm-mm. Well, and you brought up a very good point when you watch your parents go through divorce and the struggles that we grew up. David and I both grew up with. You and Landon both grew up with. It changes well, maybe not for everybody, but for me, for us, it changed our.
What you wanted to see out of your marriage.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, we wanted to break the chains. Mm-hmm. We didn't want to go down that same road. We didn't want that for our kids. We don't want our kids to have the struggles.
2 different Christmases and 2 different Easters, or a parent living in a different state and having to go visit on summer or Christmas breaks. And I know that happens, and hear us and hear our heart if that is your current situation. I'm so sorry that has happened to you. And I'm not saying you didn't do things enough or hard enough or try or whatever. We're just saying God has designed this for lifelong. Mm-hmm. And no one knows your situation but you.
Yep.
So know that there's no judgment here. And we both grew up with single moms, and we knew, and for our families, that that's not what we wanted. And I'm sure that you don't go into your marriage thinking that's what you wanted either. But just know that we're praying for all those marriages that are struggling, and we're praying for unification and intimacy to be re-bonded together.
Yep.
And I hope that you find that if you are alone, that you can find that person.
Absolutely.
That God has planned for you to do life with, because it's so much better with a person.
It is. As you were talking about that, it made me think of the movie War Room.
I love War Room.
Such a good movie. If you haven't seen it, watch it. If you're struggling in your marriage, watch it. If you know somebody that's struggling in their marriage, get it for them and have them watch it.
The actress in that movie is an amazing speaker. Mm-hmm. And we got her book recently. It was a devotional, like a Bible study. Mm-hmm. And it was how to hear God, basically. Mm-hmm. And it was so good. She is so, so, so good. The movie, and they're coming out with another one, the Kendrick brothers.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
And she's in it. And so is the older lady from the War Room. And even the husband, they're all in it. Yeah. It's called The Forge. And I can't wait to see that either. But the War Room is so good. It literally shows you how to fight for your marriage in a biblical way.
Yes. I think something that stands out to me, or when I think of that movie, I have to give a little backstory here. Mm-hmm. So somewhat recently, I was told that it must be nice to be me because I have such a good marriage and they did not. There was just this concept in this person's head that there's no struggles there. Mm-hmm. That David must be perfect and I must be perfect. Therefore,
you have a perfect
marriage. It must be nice. Mm-hmm. And I didn't say what I was thinking, but what I was thinking is we are not perfect. Mm-hmm. He's not perfect. I'm not perfect. There is no perfectness in our marriage.
There's only one person on this world
that
ever walked perfectly. And
exactly. There are times that he does things that make me go, what? Why? I don't understand. Right? It's not that we have a perfect marriage. It's that we both wake up and make a choice.
You're intentional.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
About choosing each other every day.
Yeah.
And choosing happiness instead of bitterness or anger.
Exactly.
You know, you choose to live with the fruits of the Spirit.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
So make that choice.
Yeah.
If you can.
As we're, talking about God's design for marriage, and if you're getting married soon or you're looking for that partner in life or whatever, just embrace God's design for marriage. Mm-hmm. I think that's the easiest way to go about having a fulfilling marriage. We not only experience the fullness of his blessing, but we also bear witness to his redemptive power in our lives and relationships. Mm-hmm. And I think that's part of it too, when you live with Christ as the center of your home, which we didn't do for many years in the beginning. Like we thought we were, but we weren't really. And when you really do, it seriously opens up a relationship you've never experienced, even with the same person. We've been together 21 years and almost married 21 at this point. And neither of us are the same person we were when we got married, first of all. Mm-mm. And second of all, the nice thing is that we have grown together, but we made it intentional. Mm-hmm. I hear this all the time. We grew apart. Yeah. Did you grow apart or did you intentionally not grow together? Mm-hmm. It's an honest question, Mm-hmm. And we're going to talk about that later this month too. We have a couple episodes that are really cool. Next week is Father's Day. Mm-hmm. And then the week after Father's Day is what to do when you're ready to give up in your marriage. So some of these things we'll talk about in more depth when we get to that one. But I think that's kind of an important one because we have both, I'm sure, been to a point where we have questioned, what are we doing? Right? What are we doing? And then the last one in June in our marriage month is going to be intimacy outside of the bedroom.
That sounds like a fun one.
Yeah. It doesn't always have to be just in the bedroom. I'm not saying you should do things outside of the bedroom that belong in the bedroom. I'm just saying you can be intimate in other ways.
Absolutely.
Is what that one would be about.
Yeah.
It's going to be a really fun month. And I think that we have to remember if we're already married and we're struggling, we need to go back to what God has designed for our marriage in order for us to thrive. Mm-hmm. If you are not married yet and you're looking to get married, I think you need to look at your potential partner with that lens on, because if you want to have a thriving marriage, you have to do it God's way. Mm-hmm. And then if you are single, you've maybe been through a divorce or a relationship didn't work out or whatever, when you're ready to reprocess into the relationship situation, I would say making sure that you have a relationship with Christ first is strong, and that you know exactly what he has planned for you. Maybe not exactly, but you know what he has planned for you in your relationships is going to be the best way to go into a new one.
Absolutely.
All right. Well,
I love talking about marriage.
Me too. I'm really excited for this month.
Yeah, me too.
Because unfortunately, like I said in the beginning, the society and the world is not looking at marriage in a way that, honestly, the percentage of people that are going to be married in the next 20 years is very, very low.
It makes me want to pray for my kids and their future spouses and their marriages even more than I already do. And I already, I've told my kids from the very beginning, they know I'm already praying for your future spouse. And they think that's funny because they're young and what? It makes me want to be more.
They're growing up right now too.
Yeah.
In this world.
Right.
And,
yeah. So it makes me want to be even more intentional about praying for them more frequently. And
honestly, just having those conversations with your kids as they get older about what marriage is supposed to look like, and then modeling that to them. It was funny. We were at small group the other day, and we were talking about like flirting in marriage or something. And I was like, oh, you guys have no idea. Our kids think we're absolutely bonkers and tell us to find a room all the time. And so they all laughed. And then they're like, we're so glad you hold back for us at small group. I was like, well, it's not our house. And, we're just learning, you guys. We've only been with them for like 4 or 5 months. So, but I mean, when you're in a marriage and it's God's design, you're supposed to flirt with your spouse.
Absolutely.
Right? Marriage is supposed to be the funnest place to be in if you're in a God-centered marriage. If you are not having fun as a God-centered marriage, you are doing something wrong, friend.
Yep.
Doing something wrong. So, investigate what could be the problem. Where are you not following God's design in your marriage? And how can you work together be on the same page to make your marriage stronger. Yeah.
And one way to do that, if you're not already doing that, is praying together. If you need to know where to start, that is where I would suggest starting. Just pray with your spouse.
And maybe, I like the Fireproof movie as well for a marriage movie, because that was a marriage that had given up, basically, right? And they weren't living with God at all. And they learned, and then, he did the love dare on her. Yeah. And he found God in the process. And I honestly think that that's the only way that marriage survived. And I'm not saying it's like going to be a movie if you're trying to fix your relationship, but there are things that you can do to pull yourself back to Christ, to pull your relationship back to Christ. And that can be very, very helpful. Yeah. The love dare is a real thing. It's a real book.
Yeah, it is.
And if you're really struggling, that might be a good thing to try.
Yeah.
But I think the thing that is hard right now for the world is that the world is currently very selfish. And marriage is not about being selfish. It is about service. So if you aren't ready to serve, you may not be ready to be married. And that's going to be some self-reflection to figure that out. But marriage is all about service.
Absolutely.
And without keeping score, service. I think that's an important piece. Like when you're married, we are not called to tick for tack. Well, I cleaned the dishes, so you need to do this. Or I folded the laundry, so you have to do this. It's not that at all. It's doing all the things for your home, for your lifestyle, for your family, unapologetically, and servicely. Yeah. And like what you said earlier, when
when your spouse can't give everything because of whatever is going on with them at the time, then you pick up the slack and they do the same for you.
Right. It's always 100% in all the time. And if you can't give that 100%, you give what you can and your spouse picks up the rest. And then it flip-flops.
Yep.
There's also the 80-20 rule. Have you ever heard of that from Tyler Perry?
The 80-20 rule. I don't know if I have. Maybe it'll.
So in the movie Tyler Perry wrote called Why Did I Get Married and Why Did I Get Married Too?
I haven't seen
Very, very good.
Okay.
The 80-20 rule is that the person you marry is likely only going to meet 80% of your needs. And if you leave that person for the 20% on the other side of the fence, the grass isn't always greener.
Yeah.
So knowing that not one person in the world can ever meet all of your needs, like God needs to meet your needs 100%, and then your partner will likely only meet 80%. Knowing that.
Seems kind of high. 80%.
When you grow together.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Then they're meeting 80% of your needs. But some people focus so hard on that 20% that isn't getting met. And then that's what they go for when they leave their current marriage and find another one. And then they end up regretting, So, another set of movies to watch. If you're looking for some marriage inspiration, they're amazing. Tyler Perry's amazing. But he does some really cool stories on that kind of stuff. And he's not Medea in these movies.
He's not what?
He's not Medea. Tyler Perry does the Medea movies. Like, he dresses up as an old grandma. They're comedy. It's hilarious. But in the Why Did I Get Married and Why Did I Get Married Too, Tyler Perry just plays Tyler Perry. Like,
I see.
He doesn't play his Medea character.
I see.
So, like Diary of a Mad Black Woman, that is a Tyler Perry movie, and he plays Medea in there, and it's hilarious.
Never seen it.
So good. You have got to go check Tyler Perry movies out. They're so good. They have such great storylines and life lessons in them, and I don't know. I really enjoy them. But yeah, I got the 80-20 rule from that one.
Good to know.
That was a good one.
That was a good one. Like we said, we love talking about marriage.
Love marriage. And this month is all about it. And so I hope you follow along. Like I gave you all of the episodes ahead of time who picked up those nuggets. I hope you enjoy this month and the marriage month and seeing it from God's lens. And we hope that you gain valuable insight into God's design for marriage from a biblical worldview. Make sure to join us next week for our continuation of Marriage Month and our Father's Day special.
Can't wait.
Yay. All right, guys. If you did like this episode, if you found value, please make sure to like, subscribe, leave a review, share it with all your people. And remember that Christina and I are accepting applications for us to speak at events. So make sure to turn that in if you want us to be there. And are you ready to pray?
Yeah.
All right,
go for it.
Lord Jesus, thank you so much for your blessing over marriage and your covenant law that allows us to love each other well like you have loved us. And Lord, I pray for marriages that are struggling. Oh, God, I do. I just have such a heart for marriages to be sustained and to be that lifelong covenant that you have planned for us, and for them to thrive, not just exist in a lifelong marriage, but to thrive and to love each other. And when their kids leave the house, that they have the best time together still, that they know each other when the kids leave. And we just pray that you are in the middle of all of the marriages, helping them thrive and helping them find you to solve all of their problems. And we thank you for all of your blessings in your holy and awesome name. Amen.
Amen.
All right, guys, we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Hey, bestie.